Okay, let's go through the introduction. Who am I and what are my intentions? I saw someone's comment on one of my other fledgling startup videos, and I want to address that. I am an African American, and I am very dedicated to having black people in this country have the full equality in this country that we should that every person should have. I want our kids to live and to be happy and safe. I want us to be able to just live our life, and that should be clear. Like, it should go without saying what the details are. But if we need to go through those details, we can. Listening to Professor Black Truth, as I said it before, I don't agree on everything that he says, but I certainly understand where he's coming from. He made a very good point. He makes a lot of good points. But the one that this is most pertinent is that you can't sacrifice the practical in order to shoot for the perfect. And I am not a person that needs to have whatever differences that I may have with him to be such that I would be an obstacle in what he stands for as far as black people being free. I had used a phrase that I had made up in a previous video. I think it was something like a liberated society. I think that's the phrase that I use. And I want to have my own sense of contribution to our liberated society. I believe in Christian liberation ideology. I am not a believer in the Black Hebrew Israelite religion. I don't agree with what they stand for. I am a supporter of integration. I think that the issue is integration is a two-way street. Integration means that white people in America are going to have to accept that black the black experience is going to be a defining part of what makes America America. From the decisions that are made in the best interests of the country as a whole, to prioritization of resources, to just understanding what we look at as the population. Because there's no way, first of all, we're not going to have an armed insurrection. It's just not going to happen. Revolution is highly unlikely. So what Professor Black Truth is doing and what I advocate for is, at least from what I see, from what I've listened to his videos so far, is developing a critical mass in order to make, I guess, a revolution, but not a violence. We're not looking at that kind of thing, like some kind of ethnic cleansing or all that, because that's making us just as evil as any racist person is. The other aspect, though, is that a lot of us have to go and live and eat. And I understand, I'm a little bit more compassionate about the fact that we have to endure. And for a lot of us, he says, hey, there might be only a few thousand people that are going to be thoroughly dedicated to black equality, because it includes toppling over white supremacy. Because I am all about toppling white supremacy. I'm just not a fan of dispossessing 150 white people into the street. I don't think that's ever going to physically be possible. I don't have that kind of hatred towards people. I'm not a person that feels that is a form of justice. I do feel, though, that white people have to, the ones that don't want to accept this, they're going to have to accept the fact that they're not going to be in charge, and they're not going to get their needs met first. And some of them will be put out in the street because they didn't get the first choice in all of the policy decisions that are made. And that doesn't mean that they deserve or don't deserve it. It just means that, look, we can't make everyone happy all the time. And that doesn't mean that, well, every white person has to be happy, and then black people, we can deal with y'all and make y'all happy too. No. And even with how we prioritize government resources, enforce laws and everything, it has been far too much of white people having first dibs on everything, and then we wait and wait and wait. And no. So with that, I agree with Professor Black Truth 100%. No, there's no waiting. Waiting is definitely a waste of time. But I am not going to put myself out on the street clamoring for something that may take generations to occur. So how much of dealing with white supremacy, confronting it, we all have to be shrewd in how we do it. And I get it. There's a difference between people who are shrewd and strategic and people who are just trying to make a buck for themselves, and they're going to sell out and collapse as soon as an opportunity arises for a mass uprising to overthrow that. Well, I am certainly not a person who's going to just kind of side with the enemy. But again, there's different levels. There's that curve, that curve where you see, where do you fall on that spectrum? And there's a cutoff point. And Professor Black Truth and many people who may be dedicated in the level of authenticity that he shoots for, they may look at a certain person like me and say, hey, you're at that cutoff point. You're not with us. And others may say, hey, well, hold on. He can't. Some people may die. Like there may be some John Brown white people. There may be some people like Marcus Garvey, and there may be people like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. I don't quite know where I stand, but I'm definitely, every opportunity I can, I will definitely speak up, stand up. If I need to walk, contribute, I'll do it. I just am not going to sit up here and walk into a firing squad, especially knowing that that's not going to make the revolutionary change that we need to make. So that is my introduction.